Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're cracking open the story of Diogenes of Sinope. This is a figure who really shocked, amused, and inspired the ancient world.
Absolutely. He wasn't your typical philosopher.
No, not at all. Not hiding away in an academy, lecturing from a scroll. He was out there, a philosopher on the streets, challenging society, not just with words, but really profoundly by how he lived his life. So our mission today, let's explore that radical life, his teachings, and ask ourselves, what does it genuinely mean to live freely, authentically? Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how potent Diogenes remains, even centuries later.
Yeah.
Why does he still feel so relevant?
That's the big question, isn't it?
He was like a living provocation back then, challenging the very fabric of Greek society. But that timeless challenge to conventional wisdom, his whole thing about scrutinizing what we think we need versus what we actually need, it just keeps hitting home.
Yeah.
It forces us even now to look inward and question our own assumptions about like value and happiness.
You're absolutely right. That timeless challenge is incredibly powerful.
Right.
And to understand why it still resonates, we really need to go back to the beginning, right?
Definitely.
Who was Diogenes of Sinope? What set him on this, remarkably radical path? I keep thinking of that story. The one about defacing coins. How important was that, really?
The coins. It's such a perfect origin story.
Yeah.
Because it sort of foreshadows his entire philosophy. So he was born around 412 BCE in Sinope. That's a Greek colony up on the Black Sea. His early life, it's wrapped in legend, But the most compelling story, the one that sticks, suggests he was exiled precisely for defacing the city's coins.
Oh, okay.
And you have to see this not just as like, crime.
Yeah.
It's symbolic. Deeply symbolic.
I hope so.
Well, he literally messed with the accepted currency, right? And then he spent his entire life doing the same thing. But to society's values, its accepted norms. It was like a preemptive strike against the establishment, questioning what everyone else just accepted as valuable or real.
Wow. So from day one, he's literally questioning the value system. That's quite a start.
Exactly.
And then he moves to Athens. But he doesn't try to fit in, does he? What happens after the exile?
No, quite the opposite. He gets to Athens, and instead of, trying to climb the social ladder or regain status, he just dives headfirst into this life of extreme simplicity.
Yeah.
It was almost like he was trying to prove that the only real currency was, self-sufficiency. Not coins, not status.
Right.
He decided to just strip away everything society told him was important.
And when we say extreme simplicity, we're not kidding, are we? This is extreme.
Oh yeah, proper extreme.
He famously rejects wealth, comfort, pretty much every convention. Chooses to live in a large clay jar. You sometimes hear it called a barrel.
Right in the middle of the marketplace, the agora.
Right there.
Yeah.
And his possessions, pared down to almost nothing. A cloak, a staff, and a simple bowl.
For a while, anyway.
Exactly. Because even the bowl, even that basic tool eventually became too much for him. What's that story?
It's such a powerful image, isn't it? The story goes, he saw a young boy just cupping his hands to drink water from a fountain.
Yeah.
And Diogenes supposedly just looked at his own bowl and thought, what do I even need this for? And he chucked it. Threw it away.
He just tossed it.
Yeah. It wasn't just about minimalism like getting rid of stuff. It was a radical questioning of necessity itself. He's asking, if nature gives you away, why complicate it?
Wow.
It's a huge challenge to our own assumptions, even today, about what we think are essentials.
It really is. Casting aside the bowl, it's such a direct challenge. Okay, so he's often called the father of cynicism.
Yeah.
But how did he actually teach this stuff? He wasn't exactly writing books, was he?
No, that's a crucial point. Diogenes' philosophy wasn't found in texts or lectures. His teachings came through his actions, bold actions, often shocking actions. His life was the argument. It was a living, breathing critique of what he saw as the fakeness, the hypocrisy of society. He showed the path to freedom. He didn't just talk about it.
His life was his argument. I like that. So what were these core ideas driving those actions? Where did he start dismantling things?
It really begins with living according to nature. That was fundamental.
Okay.
Diogenes believed we'd gotten tangled up in artificial desires, society's rules, customs. He saw them as chains, basically, not progress. He looked at animals, in their simplicity and saw a kind of pure existence, free from all the anxieties and hang-ups that civilization seemed to pile onto humans.
So strip away everything that isn't essential, that isn't natural.
Pretty much. Get back to basics.
Okay, so if living by nature is the foundation, how did he make that freedom real? What was this concept of self-sufficiency?
Right. That brings us to autarkia. Freedom through simplicity.
Autarkia. Okay.
And this wasn't just about like being frugal, it was deeper. Self-sufficiency in the most profound sense. By needing almost nothing, by paring his life down to the bone, Diogenes argued he was actually freer than kings, freer than rich men.
How so? Because they were weighed down.
Exactly. Weighed down by possessions, by reputation, by constantly needing more. But Diogenes, needing nothing from the outside world, he was truly independent, master of himself.
That's really interesting, the idea that needing less makes you more free.
Yeah.
And he lived it so completely.
He absolutely did.
Which must have been, I imagine, quite a powerful statement, maybe even threatening to the status quo back then.
Oh, definitely.
And building on that inner freedom, he tackled social rules head on with an idea, right? Shamelessness.
Precisely. An idea. This was his way of just smashing arbitrary social norms.
How did he do that?
Well, he deliberately broke taboos. He'd beg for food, eat right there in public, which was apparently a big no-no. He'd mock powerful people to their faces. Just
no filter.
None. But it wasn't just to be obnoxious. The point was to show that shame is mostly something we learn, a social construct. He argued, look, if something's natural eating, basic bodily functions, why should it be shameful? By defying the rules, he exposed how arbitrary and often hypocritical they were.
He's pulling back the curtain on social awkwardness, essentially.
You could say that. And this commitment to truth carried over into how he spoke, too. That's parrhesia.
Parrhesia, truth and directness.
Exactly. Brutal honesty. Even if it was offensive, even if it made people uncomfortable. His wit was sharp, yeah, but it wasn't for polite dinner parties. It was a tool. A weapon, really.
A weapon against what?
Against hypocrisy. In politicians and other philosophers, especially those who talked a good game but lived conventionally, and just in ordinary people, too. He refused to sugarcoat things or play along with society's polite little lies.
And nothing shows that better than maybe his most famous stunt. Wandering around Athens in broad daylight with a lit lantern.
Oh, yes, the lantern.
Claiming he was looking for an honest man. It wasn't because it was dark, obviously.
It was pure theater.
His way of putting a spotlight, literally, on the corruption and dishonesty he saw everywhere. A critique of the whole system. Such an enduring image.
Absolutely. It perfectly captures his direct, challenging style.
And his life is just full of these encounters, these legendary moments that show his independence, his wit. Like, wasn't there one about wine?
Oh, yeah. Someone apparently asked him, maybe trying to needle him about his simple life, what kind of wine he liked best.
And his answer.
Classic Diogenes. That which belongs to another.
Huh. Perfect. It's such a sharp jab at ownership, at desire.
Exactly. Right. It's not just a clever line. It gets right to the heart of his critique.
Right.
Why want what you don't have? Contentment comes from needing nothing. That's autarkia in a nutshell.
It really is. And he didn't hold back with the big thinkers either, did he? The story about Plato.
Oh, the Plato incident, yes.
Yeah.
So Plato had apparently come up with this definition of a human being as a featherless biped.
Trying to be all philosophical and precise.
Right. Trying to capture the essence of humanity in a neat little phrase. So what does Diogenes do?
What did he do?
He goes out, finds a chicken, plucks all its feathers off, and marches into Plato's academy, holds up this poor naked bird, and declares, "Behold, Plato's man."
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine the reaction?
Total chaos, probably. But it's brilliant, isn't it? Such a practical, visual takedown of abstract definitions that just miss the messy reality of things.
It's incredible. But maybe the most iconic story of all, the one that everyone knows, is him and Alexander the Great.
Ah, yes. The ultimate showdown, in a way.
Alexander, conqueror of the known world, at the absolute peak of his power, he seeks out Diogenes, finds him just lying in the sun.
Mm-hmm. Just chilling.
And Alexander, maybe impressed, maybe just curious, asks if there's anything he can do for him. Any favor, any wish he can grant.
The most powerful man on earth offering him anything.
Anything. And Diogenes' reply.
Yes. Stand out of my sunlight.
It's wow. The sheer nerve. The complete lack of deference.
It says everything, doesn't it? These stories, they're more than just funny anecdotes. They get to the absolute core of who Diogenes was. Mm. They show this unwavering refusal to bow down. Not to social rules, not to intellectual fads, not even Alexander the Great. His principles were everything. He valued his inner freedom, his honesty, his connection to nature, above absolutely everything else. He proved that real power wasn't about conquering kingdoms. It was about conquering yourself, your desires, your fears.
A different kind of power altogether.
A completely different kind.
Right.
And even though Diogenes himself, well, he didn't leave any writings behind.
Yeah.
We've talked about how his philosophy was lived, not written. His influence was still huge. It rippled out.
How so? Who did he influence?
Well, his radical form of cynicism didn't just vanish. It actually laid some really important groundwork for Stoicism.
Ah, okay. The Stoics.
Yeah, one of the most significant schools of thought in Western philosophy. Now, the Stoics, they refined things a bit, maybe toned down some of the more extreme cynic practices.
Probably less public defiance.
Probably.
Yeah.
But they definitely picked up on Diogenes' core ideas. Living in harmony with nature, self-control, rejecting dependence on external things like wealth or status. That lineage is pretty clear.
That's fascinating. So his legacy wasn't just being this eccentric guy in a barrel.
Not at all.
His radical rejection of wealth, status, convention, it makes him this timeless symbol, doesn't it? Of freedom, authenticity, rebellion against hypocrisy. He showed that philosophy wasn't just thinking, it was doing, making your life the statement. And that impact, I think you're right, it's still felt.
Definitely.
So, okay, let's bring it home. With all this ancient wisdom, what does Diogenes actually mean for us today, right now? In our world of, smartphones and social media and endless consumerism, how can a guy in a barrel possibly be relevant?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because his core teachings, I think, speak directly to so many of our modern anxieties.
Like what?
Well, imagine Diogenes looking at our world, our endless chase for the next gadget, the perfectly curated Instagram feed, the constant pressure to keep up. He'd probably call it out as just another form of, defacing coins.
Huh. Explain that.
We're chasing value that's been artificially created, believing it brings happiness. But Diogenes would argue it just adds more chains of expectation, desire, dissatisfaction. His big lesson is that so much of what we chase, money, status, possessions, maybe even just constant online validation, they're often illusions of happiness. We pile things up, we consume, but that real contentment, it feels slippery because maybe true freedom comes from needing less, not more.
Needing less, not more. So simplify. Focus on what's essential, what's natural, and that liberates you from the cycle. It really does sound like a precursor to modern minimalism, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. You could call him the original minimalist in a way. And his honesty, that parrhesia. Think about that today.
Yeah.
In a world that's often so performative, so full of spin, that raw honesty, the courage to speak truth, even when it's uncomfortable, it still has incredible power to cut through the noise, the corruption, the hypocrisy, just like it did in Athens.
So he challenges us to ask if we're treating our integrity for social acceptance.
That's a big part of it, yeah. Are we being true to ourselves or just playing the game?
It makes you think. This idea of needing less, it wasn't just about fewer things, was it? There was a deeper, maybe psychological freedom he was aiming for.
Oh, for sure. It went way beyond just physical possessions. It was about freeing the mind, freeing yourself from the mental baggage of needing approval, needing status, needing external validation. He stripped away the need for comfort, even politeness sometimes, if it got in the way of truth. And that psychological freedom, that inner resilience, that's what makes him so profoundly relevant now, I think, especially when we see so many struggles linked to comparison and external pressure.
Removing the unnecessary, not just from your house, but from your head.
Exactly. What doesn't serve your true natural self.
And that really is the story of Diogenes, the philosopher who lived in a barrel, but left behind a legacy maybe brighter than gold. His life just keeps asking us to think about the impact of living simply, living truthfully, stripping away the layers to find out who we really are underneath.
Which, raises an important question for you listening right now. Thinking about Diogenes' radical path, is there maybe just one unnecessary thing you could identify and perhaps remove from your own life this week? Or maybe just one societal value, something you've always just accepted that might be worth taking a closer look at, questioning it a bit.
Definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope Diogenes' ancient provocations spark some modern thinking in your own life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe try to live just a little more authentically.